Okay,
Sure.
everyone listening live or in the recording, welcome to tabbyawards.com. I want to, on the onset, let you know that the the PowerPoint had a slight issue, and we're doing this in a little bit different format. The important thing here is number one, that's understood and already identified. Number two, I have the seller, and you'll be able to see everything. You're just seeing some extra stuff here. So sorry about that, but again, we're getting the meat over regardless. Patrick, confirm that what you're seeing on your screen, tabbyawards.com, presented by Adam Beebe and Patrick.
Absolutely.
Pronounce your last name for me, please.
Uh, uh, in French, it's Pierre, but let's say Pierre.
I either work for me, and I apologize. My French is non-existent. Um, Everyone who is live listening, if you haven't already done so, dial in through the audio bridge. You're able to do this via the phone number that you're being been presented, or you can do it through your computer mic. If you have questions, ask them in the GoToMeeting functionality. Um, I will ask them immediately, or if I know they're coming up, they will get asked at some point throughout the presentation. May just be proactively covered by Patrick. So, Patrick, here we go, and everybody joining us for the last one. You'll know Patrick. He owns a sister site to tabbyawards.com, the site that this open house is about. He owns Tab Times, and that recording is going to be available online as well as this one within the next 24 hours. But this is the sister site of Tab Times. The deal, you're able to, you, the listener, are able to go to Latona's and click on the hyperlink for the revenue, COGS, expenses, uniques, and page views to see the monthly breakdown. What we're looking at here is a online awards platform that distributes awards for uh, tablets. And I'll let Patrick obviously expound upon that. The COGS that you will see are for the smaller percentage of winners or people who place, or actually maybe it's actually just the winners, but people can get a physical statue. They are sent a logo or an emblem, if you will, via email. But that explains the COGS, the cost of the actual award itself. Patrick, just like last time, this is where I let you take over the mic. I'm going to put myself on mute. There'll be a slight delay in between you talking and I talking to take me off mute. But if you would, just like last time, discuss Tabby Awards history, where it was, where it is now.
Sure. So thanks, Adam, for having me. The tabbyawards.com site that we're talking about is actually the platform we use to manage an awards competition program called the Tabby Awards that we fully own, which comes with the site, of course, and which is the only awards program for the best tablet apps. So apps which run on iPad, but also on Android and Windows 8 tablets. And we have two of these competitions every year, one for consumer apps and games, and one for business apps, apps which are used in enterprises or which are really targeted towards productivity use. And the site is the platform to promote these competitions and to manage them to some extent. What you're seeing is the homepage of the site, and the site itself doesn't gather a lot of traffic, except in some situations we'll address later. The site itself is mostly there. I mean, the core target of the core target audience are app publishers. So people who publish mobile apps, and specifically apps which are either designed specifically for or optimized for tablets and would like to have more downloads, would like to be able to sell more of these on the app stores, or in the context of business app publishers who want to get to get a better presence in the enterprise and business market by having companies who not only pay for the app, but most of the time pay for subscriptions for their employees. So these are hugely bigger businesses than just selling one app to one customer at some point. We're talking about some app publishers talking the business world. For every license, that's hundreds of dollars per year per employee. So it can be something very, 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 very lucrative for them. So for them, getting or having the chance of being declared a finalist or even a winner in an awards competition, a prestigious and renowned awards competition, it's the value they have. So for them, it's a marketing play. They spend money, and our whole business is based upon that, to enter these competitions and have a chance of being declared either a finalist or a winner. And most of this selection is done via by an expert judging panels, volunteers who work in the business. Some of these volunteers being previous finalists and previous winners of the Tabby Awards competition, who accept to test and review apps and enter ratings, and from that we select finalists and winners. So just to address the history part, we launched the first competition in 2012. So obviously it's a recent program, but tablets come to life just in 2010. So and we've been growing very fast since that time. We've even more than doubled our. We have more publishers coming in, and obviously it's a business that you build. So the first time an award competition comes in, there is some people have never heard about it, don't know if it's any good, if it's will bring anything, and then year after year you build the credibility, you build the awareness, and you carve a niche, which we've been doing. So now we've hold, if I'm correct, 5 competitions, 3 for business apps. We started with the one for business apps, and we're currently in the finishing stage of the 2014 business app competition, and 2 for consumer apps. We usually do the consumer app competition in the spring and the business app competition in summer and fall. So I'm not sure if I should cover much more just on the first
No,
slide,
no,
Adam.
I appreciate it. And like you said, tablets haven't been around, so using that, you've been around about half the life of tablets, so it's not a bad thing. Right. This is just, everybody knows this. This is the Wayback Machine. Have you changed any of the design of the site, any of the functionality of the site since its inception, 2.5 years ago, whatever it is?
In terms of the site, sorry, Alan, in terms of the public site, if I understood your question correctly,
Correct.
not really. We've done very small changes here and there, but overall, that's the same site which we launched in 2012, which, by the way, is managed on WordPress. We did change, and I'll probably address that later, the online platform which is used to manage the awards, but that's not something that we develop. That's just something that we license from a third-party software provider.
Of course. Okay. Analytics, right? We're looking here as far as through the life of the site, and in looking in that, it came online in 2012. What do you attribute the I mean, look at the graph and discuss why that is.
Sure. So the site itself is not a high traffic site, and it's not its purpose. It's not a media site. It's mostly done to promote the awards. It's for the app publisher who are curious about it, and also for people who want to see the results. So we of course want to have some traffic, but that's not that's not a high priority objective. What we did this year is for the consumer, and we did that for the first time, and we certainly will do that again. For the consumer app competition, I say that most of the competition is judged by an expert judging panel, and that's the case. These are the people who select, and independent judges who select the finalists and then the winners. But what we did this year, in the middle of the consumer app competition is we said, okay, for the finalists, now we'll offer people a say, and we'll let them select not the winners, because the winners are selected by the judging panel, but users' choice. So we'll let everyone vote for their preferred app within the finalists. So apps which have already been vetted as kind of being of a minimum level of quality by the judging panel. And to vote, you had to come to the site and vote on the site, on our site. And we had hopes that it would bring people on the site, but it worked tremendously well, above all expectations. We got almost 100,000 people voting for apps on the site, and these came mostly from the publishers, which we said, okay, you would like to be declared a user choice. Well, do some promotion for it. And some of them did, and some of them did big time. So it drew tons of traffic for a pretty short period of time, a few weeks in early summer this year, to the site. So this is not something that we monetize by itself, but of course it does a lot in terms of growing the exposure of the Tabby Awards. By the way, it's not a new idea. We're just copying the ideas of other such competition, because a few decades ago, the People's Choice Awards in the entertainment business has been launched after the traditional Academy Awards and Emmy Awards, which are panel-based in terms of selection. There's also another competition which we take inspiration from, which is the Webby Awards. The Webby Awards are for websites, and they do have a panel of experts, but they also launched a few years ago the People's Voice Awards within the Webby Awards. It has been very helpful for them to get visibility, to be better known, and to help get, and so that's exactly the same card we're playing. So that's a long digression, Adam, but this explains the huge peak of traffic we had.
Absolutely.
And that we intend to have every year when we do the same user's choice parallel competition.
Now, this is why China? What's going on as far as the distribution of the Tabby Awards? Nothing wrong with that, but I mean, what's usually we see one country being very dominant. Here we're seeing quite a bit of diffusion of traffic.
Yes, but because as you saw in the previous slide, I mean, the spike of traffic we had during a few weeks represents by itself more than 95% of the overall traffic we ever had on the site.
100%
so what
agree,
you see in terms of geographical distribution,
yep,
comes mostly from this, and you do have some publishers. I mean, the usage of mobile and tablets in China is pretty high. So
absolutely.
even if it's not at all a target, that's the reason why we have this kind of geographical distribution.
Understood. Good explanation there. Well, this is direct. I mean, it gets direct traffic. Obviously, we've gone into that ad nauseum. But how you get that big spike in traffic, and that's understandable. Are you starting to delve into social media? Is that something that's on the horizon? Are you there?
Excuse me, Idam, I didn't hear your question.
I apologize. It's obvious why it's direct now for everybody listening. Are you starting, or are you planning on moving forward in more social media?
I'm really sorry. I had a trouble with the
No problem. Are
audio,
you
and
hearing me
it's
okay
lagging,
now,
and
Patrick?
I couldn't hear.
Okay. Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going? Do you have plans to go into social media?
Oh, social media. Well, ourselves, not so much. Well, we do when we announce, because in terms of public and getting an audience, what we target are app publishers. So yes, if we can get them from the website or from some social media, that's good. But we mostly do direct targeting and direct emails to them. So social media, it's more to get the word out about the results, and we do some of these. But to be more specific, well, in the past, in the first years, in 2012 and 2013, I think we bought some advertising to promote, at least we did more some SEO, not so much in terms of social media, but the publishers themselves, when we do the user's choice parallel competition, they use social media, because one of the way publishers will corral their app users to vote for their own app is through social platforms. So they do more than we do.
Understood. I know we got into backlinks in last presentation. You don't have a link exchange. You don't buy links. You don't do anything like that. This is just showing that you have quite a bit of external backlinks.
Yeah,
But
and
you
and
don't
one,
you
one
don't harvest these. You're not going out and trying to find these.
No, absolutely not. What's happening is that, well, we're news. When we publish, when we have finalists to announce and winners to announce, we issue a news release with news. Many of the publishers themselves issue their own news release saying, "Hey, we're proud to have won the Tabby Award for in this category." So, and then some blogs pick that up. So these ads year over year, competition after competition, the number of credible, genuine editorial links to our site.
Excellent. We're gonna. This will look familiar from the last one. This is just simply saying the composition of what the backlinks are, as you can see, and it seems very apparent just as related to what you've previously explained regarding the site, why this is the breakdown. A lot of images. Um, you have Tabby Awards. This is discussing where the anchor text is. The and I apologize anyone listening to this not having listened to or will listen to Tab Times. Patrick's forte is not SEO. So the takeaway here is the traffic that's coming into the site, number one, is not being bought, and number two is not being done in a black hat fashion. The understandably the spike is for people wanting their awards to win, and that's where it's coming from. So that's really the big takeaway as it relates to traffic. These slides are good, but really people get their mind around that, and that's all we need them to do. Um, these, I'm sure, are some of the publishers, some of the app people coming in and showing the referring website there, and then going with Tabby Awards. So, Patrick, again, unless you have something here, we've already covered this. You there?
Yes, the connected party. So
Mm-hmm.
if you ask me a question, sorry, but I didn't hear
No,
it.
no problem. And you mentioned that on the previous one. We're moving forward now, and we're moving forward as it relates to just the SEM rush. Patrick, I know we spoke, and it is something that um, the relevance as it relates to the traffic is simply has already been discussed. And to be candid, I'm going through these traffic slides. They're not really relevant um, as to how you get traffic. So this is just showing some keywords. Android tablet, tabbies, you're not buying keywords. It's not designed like that. 95, 98% of the traffic is coming from publishers wanting their site to be seen. Uh, Patrick, I'll wait. There's a delay here, but this is the spike that you talked about where it um, has 10 million uniques in 1 month, and that's solely because it's ahead of the competition. Um, Patrick, when you can hear me and when you can talk, go ahead and chime in if you would.
Yeah, well, the only good thing about that is that it was the first time. There's no reason to believe that it won't be at least as much next year for every competition. This works pretty well, and maybe at some point we'll find a way to monetize that.
Absolutely, this is substantial, and this is something that it's hard to replicate. I mean, obviously, it's with an intent with the people coming to it, so there would be a way of doing that, I would imagine. And this follows suit as far as views. So really, nothing more needs to be spent on that. We're about halfway through the presentation. I can see the time, so this was working out well. Spend some time as it relates to what platform is Tabby Awards built on. We're going over your admin section now.
Sure. So for the public site itself, which is a salient point that we're looking at, it's pretty straightforward. It's a small WordPress-based site. No specific customization, nothing special has been done. So I manage that very easily through a standard plain vanilla WordPress interface. We actually have two sites in WordPress, one for the consumer app competition and the other one for the business app competition. But the look and feel is very similar. The structure is the same, but this allows us to address the business app publishers in a specific way because they really are a specific audience.
Excellent.
So this is just the screen showing the list of articles. You probably have another screen coming up showing just one article. So anyone familiar with WordPress won't learn anything in here. It's something that it's very basic in terms of managing content of the site. So the updates we do on the site are actually not numerous during the year. The only thing we update is when we launch and open a new competition, we make sure that the guidelines for entrance is updated. We update the fees, the dates when they can enter the competition, and then after that we update the list of judges. And when we publish, we announce finalists and then winners. We just update these pages on the site. That's the extent of the content we put on the public site. But from the public site, this one important thing, and I'm not sure if it's the following slide or a slide after that, is that
I'm
people who want
advancing
to enter the
now.
competition
There you
go
go.
out of the public site and into a private site, which is managed via an awards management platform. So we'll go back to that in a minute. Let's address the current slide, which you have on screen in here. The marketing of our Tabby Awards, because as you saw, except for the user choice, the site itself doesn't have a huge traffic, so we don't wait for people coming. We also go out to them and we do very specific marketing towards app publishers. We've built over the past 2 years a basic online database of tablet app publishers. And what we've done is we've built something on Google Drive, so something not proprietary in terms of platform, which is easy to manage and easy to access for several people. And then I have freelancers who look at the app rankings in app stores, and from these identify the top publishers in various categories. And obviously the top publishers are the ones who probably make the most money and are the more serious publishers in terms of mobile publishers, and then go to find their contact info, and they help build the database. And now we have, I think it's a little more than 3,700 contacts in there, which probably represents roughly 2,000 different publishers. And when the time comes, so twice every year, and actually it's only once every year because these are not the same publisher that we target for the consumer app competition and the business app competition, the same freelancers send them a personal email saying, hey, we've seen this app, why don't you present it, why don't you enter it in the Tabby Awards competition? And this has been very cost effective and very efficient in terms of a marketing tool. And it's also something which, I mean, we don't, the platform Google Drive is not proprietary, but the database is, and it took a lot of time to build and to see how to manage that. It is updated on a current basis. Before every competition, we spend, well, the freelancers spend a few weeks updating that, adding new publishers, which apps have been issued recently, and it makes the promotion really easy and efficient.
Excellent. Do you want me to go back to this slide, or do you want me to advance?
No, you could go to the following one actually, which I think is more about the online management platform, which is linked to from the public site. So when an app publisher, thank you, Adam, when an app publisher wants to enter the competition, he clicks on the link from the public site and goes into a site which is only for people who want to participate, and which allows us to manage that. And for this, we've not developed that. We're just licensing a platform, and we've looked at many platforms, and we found the right one at the right price. And from that, this is the tool we use to entirely manage the competition online. On the site. So here what you would see is a setup screen allowing me as the administrator, when I'm preparing to launch a future competition, to look at the schedule and say when we start accepting submissions, what is the last day for submissions, and when the judging period will happen. As you can see on the top, there are many other buttons which give you a lot of other functions that you can manage and take reports from that online platform, and which really makes that very smooth and efficient in terms of managing the competition. Probably we can go into a little more details in the next slide, Adam, which would
Advance.
still be in the same administrative platform. And there you would see one of the things that I would set up is the price for the entries, and because that's mostly our only revenue. That's people coming in, app publishers coming in to submit their app. So the management of the price of the entries is of high importance. What's happened is that to enter the market, initially we priced very low, and we're continuously, gradually increasing the prices and also being a little more granular. For example, the first year we just have one basic price. Now we've introduced super early bird price, regular price, late price. If you come after the date, well, you say, well, we'll extend the competition by 1 week, but you'll have to pay more. And this is good for some people who heard of the competition at the last minute, because everyone is last minute. So you'll have most of the submissions, whatever deadline you give, you have most of the submission, most of the entries coming in the last 48 hours before the deadline. So that's one of the things you can set up in this platform. By the way, the transaction itself is handled via PayPal. So from the platform, if when a publisher wants to enter his app, he just fills a form and then press to pay, and that's handled through a PayPal gateway. So that's pretty simple and straightforward also in terms of just first getting the money up front at the beginning of the competition rather than at the end. And that's pretty simple because, well, if you've not paid your fees, well, you're not in the competition. So do you want to complete your submission? Usually you won't. Maybe we can follow up on another screen in the same management platform.
Okay. This one, is that good for you?
Yes, so this one would probably show exactly what it's how it just shows how publishers would fill a form on this site, on that platform actually, when they enter the competition. And in terms of the app itself, usually the app is available via an app store, so they just provide a link to the app, and then the judges on their own from this platform will go and use that link to download and install that app on their own device wherever they are. So that's why it can be fully managed online.
Okay.
And probably other screens later on will show also, for example, the list of apps which have submitted, and you can then follow up and see where they are in the process, because one of the things you want to do is to have a maximum number of publishers starting to fill these, but some at some point will forget about it, or they're lacking some information, and so you will follow up with them, and you see which are complete, which are not complete. And as you can see, we have, I mean, we have publishers nobody has heard about, and we also have very large companies applying. If you look at the list of our past winners, for example, for the Tabby Awards, you'll find names like CBS, like National Geographic, Flipboard, Adobe, companies like that. So that's really a very wide variety of companies. By the way, it may be it makes me think that one of the target we have, because for this company, especially in the business app competition, spending a few $100 to enter a competition, even if, of course, they don't know if they will be selected as a finalist or winner, but it's not a huge risk. It's very little money for their marketing department. Plus, it's money which doesn't need a high-level involvement and decision-making process, because usually it can be handled by PR people. Because when these people couldn't spend without referring to higher levels of decisions in the business, a $50,000 advertising budget. But in terms of entering an awards competition for a few $100, they can decide that. They do that on the corporate credit card, and it goes pretty easily. And also because for the consumer app publishers, which are smaller business in general, there are a few large ones, but in general there are smaller businesses. These companies don't have a huge promotional budget, so for them, spending $200, $300, $500, $600 if they want to be present in several competitions and have a fair chance of being declared a finalist or a winner, it really has a tremendous marketing value for them. So that's the reason why as soon as more publishers hear about them, they are more and more willing to participate. And probably another screen will show more details about other functions that can be managed in the same online platform. So I'm not sure what's coming next in terms of it. Probably maybe gives an idea of how the judges, because judges also use the same online awards management platform, and they accept they have their own login, and they enter their ratings after having installed and rate and review the app, and then it automatically tallies the numbers, and it gives rankings by category. And so this would be an example, for example, of what I see by criteria, and they are weighted ratings, and then it outputs by category a preset list of finalists and then of winners. So I think it gives a pretty complete view of how this is managed through the online management platform. Yeah, so that would be a list, for example, of the apps and the overall ranking and scores they got per category, and from that it's pretty easy to declare which app has been selected as finalists and winners.
Okay. Is this screen still something you want to be on, or would you like me to advance?
No, I think we've covered that.
We are done with the admin section, and you've touched all around this, and it's understood where this is through entry fees, and you have two competitions. So obviously there's a spike twice a year as the awards uh, come up. You have different tiers, meaning super early bird, I think your phrasing is, regular registration, like registration. If someone's if someone's entering more than one um, app to the contest or the contest that you give them a break. So why don't you break down the different tiers there?
Yes, so that's as you just explained, there's a basic thing which means that we price higher the first entry in the competition. If you want to have several entries in the same competitions, you pay a lower fee for the following entries, which is of course an encouragement to enter either other apps or the same app in other competition in other categories, as long as of course it's relevant and it makes sense. And then in terms of timing, the different price levels in terms of super early bird, it's also tied to the way we do marketing. Because what we do first for every competition is we go with the low-hanging fruits. And the low-hanging fruits are people who already know us and who have already subscribed to our newsletter. So we send a newsletter at the very beginning when we open the submission, and we offer these people to come in, and we offer them a special discount price, which allows us to have pretty soon a basis in terms um, of publishers having entered the competition at no cost in terms of marketing, because the only thing we've done so far is just sending one newsletter to the people who have actively subscribed to our database or had previously entered a competition. Then we have to do active marketing. So this active marketing is, as I explained earlier, to have some freelancers send email messages to the publishers in our database. So these are people we have collected information from, but actively we have looked for it. So they have not subscribed, so they have not opted in. So that's why we send them manually an email, politely, and mentioning their own app. But of course, this, even if it's very efficient, it takes more time and it takes more work. So they pay a higher price, and that's why that's how we greatly expand. This is a regular price, and then we've just introduced this year. There are some publishers who are last minute and they are missing something, missing an approval, missing an image, missing something. They ask for, can you please extend the competition? Can you please extend the deadline? You want to be fair, because it's super important to be fair to everyone, and so you'll say, okay, we'll extend the submission period by say 1 week, but you'll have to pay a higher fee, because we're doing that especially for people like you who were not ready for the regular deadline. So, and this kind of fee management can certainly be refined even more going forward.
Patrick, do you hear me okay?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, you just broke up there. I heard everything you said other than the past 3 seconds, so there was a little dead spot there. So you're fine if you want to just
I
repeat.
was just saying that this kind of Yeah, just saying that there is, so there, in terms of the management of fees, entry fees, it could probably be refined even more going forward.
Okay, good. That's revenue. COGS, you buy all the trophies, or at least this year you bought them October of last year, 2013, and that's what cost of goods sold. So that's what that is. Expenses are added in, or the shipping's added into the expenses here. Um, discuss the spikes here. I know it's related to the actual, obviously, competitions, but if you care to expound upon that, anyone listening, all the expenses are denoted very specifically, as is revenue on Latona's. Patrick, without exception, is the most meticulous bookkeeper I've run across doing this job for a decade, as it relates to being very organized, having clear documentation as it relates to not only Tabby Awards, but tab times, where the money went and when it went there. So we can supply all that to qualified buyers. But uh, anything really here that strikes you as far as expenses you want to talk about, Patrick?
Well, in terms of, as you, because I mean, when you don't do, the only expenses are marketing and so what the freelancers do, and also the online platform. So the two spikes you're seeing there is actually because we paid a subscription fee, a license for the platforms, but we don't spread this out throughout the year. So and because we paid a higher fee last year because it was for the first year of the license, and now we're going into the second year. So we paid, for example, in July, the price was for the full year from July 2014 until June 2015. So this was 90% of the expenses you saw in July 2014. The rest, though, however, you have a slightly higher expenses in the month preceding the competition, because you spend some money on freelancers who update the database and send the messages to potential entrants.
Okay, that's pretty clear. As we discussed, your background, if you could go a little in detail again about your background, and my hour of time is not equal to your hour of time. So tell us what your skill set is and how many hours a day you spend on the operation of the site. It's obviously more time intensive as the competitions come up, but go ahead.
Sure, maybe just a word, because we're going out of the financials, and I'm realizing that one of the things, because the figures you show are which is fine, is for the last 12 months, but the one thing it doesn't capture is a growth year over year, competition of the competition that we've experienced,
Since 2012,
and
correct.
we and I want to emphasize again that, for example, in 2014, we more than doubled the revenues from compared to 2013 for both competitions, and we also increased the submissions by 15%. We increased more the revenues and the submissions because we also increased the fees, and with the fees we're still below most, I would say, comparable competitions, because there is no direct competition. We're the only competition focusing exclusively on tablet apps, but you would have some competition, for example, for digital or web or sometimes mobile, who also accept some tablet apps, and all of them are priced higher. And so that's really not only potential, but something that's with actually, and it has been consistent since we launched the very first competition in 2012. So sorry for that digression. To come back to your question, which was about day-to-day operations. Okay, so that's the pure the site itself. Managing the public site is almost nothing, because, as I said, we do just a few updates per year. The real work to do is to organize the competitions, and there is some work involved. Apart from the work which is outsourced in terms of marketing. So marketing, these are freelancers, as I said, freelancers which are paid at a low hourly wage, and which are very efficient, and which deal online mostly through Google Drive documents, and have very specific instructions, and just send the same message to everyone, and do the search, and also update the database in a very straightforward way. So there's nothing rocket science here. It's just a process which has been in place and has been improved, and which cost, I think, a few $100s per month when we're in a period of active marketing. Now, in terms of managing the competition itself, it's something, well, the very first competition was a lot of work, but we now have the processes in place, and it makes that much easier to manage. What we do basically is, first, we're recruiting judges. So to recruit judges, you're looking for app professionals, people who do the business and who know the business and are credible. Initially, they were hard to find, but now people know the competition, and also we have past winners and past finalists. So we go to them first, because they know the competition, they of course have a positive experience, had a positive experience of participating in that, and they're usually more than willing to participate on the judging panel where they will be volunteers, but they will have the opportunity to see interesting apps free of charge, because some of these apps are to be paid for, but when you're a judge, you can experience them, of course, free of charge. So that's a great experience for them and something that they usually like. So it's much easier to get judges as of now. When you've assembled your judging panel, then there are the criteria are basically the same year over year. The fees, there is some management to do, and then you have to plan for the competition by sending instructions to the freelancers. And now what I'm doing is copy pasting the previous competition instructions and just doing a few adjustments. But then when you have more work to do is during the judging period, because you have to work with judges, even if you don't meet with them, but to make sure that they have a positive experience. So to help them navigate through the site, make sure they understand the criteria, and also in some cases help them a little bit with tech issues they may have with an app that they downloaded and it doesn't work. So you have some back and forth email with the publisher, and then you have a communication work also when you have to issue the finalists and winners, to issue news releases. And make sure to get some promotion. So when you're out of the, I would say, the active period, so it's seasonal in terms of involvement and work needed. When you're out of these periods, you have nothing to do, almost nothing, except doing maybe thinking about what other promotional partners you could have or things like that. When you're in active period, it's a little more work, and when you're really at the peak of that, so when you're during the judging sessions, and the judging sessions are basically overall the equivalent of three to 4 weeks per competition. Now we're talking about probably the equivalent of 1 to 2 days full time to manage that correctly, because you want that to be smooth, you want that to be professional. You're talking about something which, I mean, the ethics of the competition is important, the fact that it's well done, that it's a fair competition, that everyone feels that it has been handled properly and in a professional manner is important if you want to have, so that takes the time I just outlined.
Excellent. Um, you've covered a lot of this already. Do you want to add anything to this, site growth, future expectations?
Well, in terms of, there is all, I mean, by itself, it's growing. So I'm not concerned. I mean, tablets are not going anywhere. Even if tablets are growing and if tablets are still growing, the market for tablet app is actually growing faster than the market for smartphone apps. The reason, even if you have less tablets than smartphone, the reason for that is that people are more willing to pay for an app on a tablet than on a smartphone. And for apps which are monetized through advertising, the advertising CPMs are much higher on tablets than on smartphones. So that market is booming, and we're the only one focused on that. But some other things which could be done is, well, we saw earlier that we had a huge spike of traffic related to the user choice competition, which for a few weeks during the year opens the competition to a much wider audience. There should be ways to monetize that. One should be probably through a sponsorship with a company wanting to position itself in the tablet and tablet app market. And you see, for example, more and more companies like Samsung, Lenovo, which are manufacturers but want to have some proprietary content, proprietary apps. I wouldn't be surprised to have one of these companies sponsor the TEBI Awards in the coming years. You can create other, you could create other, we're thinking about creating other sub-competition. Maybe, for example, the education market would be worth its own competition with its own judging panel. Games, which we've introduced this year, in addition to the consumer apps, maybe it would be worth separating that as a specific competition because that's a market by itself. Maybe there could be an interest for other kind of doing that in other languages or in other regions, because it's a global competition, but of course the majority of the apps all of the apps are English language only. So there's a potential there. It's really a global brand, which is small but growing, which is alone, and in that sense, as in my and is already profitable and has already everything it needs to be properly managed. So that's yeah, that's a potential.
Very clear. I've been asking, well, you've already covered this too. We've got just this, and then I'm providing my information. Why are you selling the site? I know we covered that to some extent, but why are you selling the site?
Yeah, we kind of covered that in the other webinar regarding Tap Times, which is another site which I also own, because initially the Tabby Awards was part of a bigger plan, which was Tap Times and basically based on iPad apps, etc. There was we did business conferences with Tap Times, and we did physical ceremonies for the Tabby Awards tied to these business conferences. Uh, of course, we no longer have physical ceremonies, and it doesn't impact in any way except in a positive way the financials, because we no longer have any expense related to that. But it's as if the fit with the Tap Times events, of course, is no longer there in the same way. And as you can see, it's a very seasonal business. So the rest of the year, it doesn't take a lot of time. But when there is management to do, it does require some focus, which doesn't work well with the other things I'm planning to do. So even if it's a fun, honestly, it's a fun project to manage. But I'm planning to focus back more on things here in the French-speaking province of Quebec. So if I could find an entrepreneur who would be willing to would be excited about the project and willing to continue and expand that, that's something that the opportunity I would look at.
Okay, good. Um, Questions, answers, just like last time. We covered all of them. There have been a few questions, but again, it was really relating the spikes in the expenses. I'm sorry, in the revenue, which obviously is because when the awards are, and then also the traffic, which is when the awards are. So we've already handled that. Patrick, thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Everyone listening live or in the recording. Adam Beebe, I'm the broker. My phone number +1 678 640 4530. Email Adam at latonas.com. Skype is adam.latonas, plural. Reach out to me as mentioned, and this isn't in any way an exaggeration. Patrick is really probably one. He's definitely one of, may very well be the most organized person as it relates to getting me detailed information as it relates to both sites. So um, be assured that you will get the information that you want in a timely fashion. We do have a prospectus for Tabby Awards as well as Tab Times available. We need a signed NDA in order to send you that, but that's expressed on the on in the listing. So Patrick, again, thanks for the back-to-back hours. We spent the past 2 hours talking. So hope you go get some rest, get some lunch, and
Sure, it's been a pleasure, Adam. Thank you.
great. Everyone, this recording will be up within 24 hours, and let me know of any questions. Patrick, thank you again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.